This is Luna here with the Artisan Tarot. Hi, how are y'all doing? So hang on just a second. I'm starting my timer. So thank you for those of you who have liked, shared, and subscribed. And if you're back, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss my content. Ooh, because you know what? The algorithm, I need to get those likes up. Come on, guys. Y'all like my content. Come on. And yes, I am wearing my crown. If you didn't see it, the crown in the picture, I actually am wearing it, but Zoom unfortunately doesn't show it, which makes me really sad. So if you clicked on this and you thought you were going to see my crown, apparently the joke is on both of us. Um, with Spirit played or Zoom played, I don't really know, but I'm pulling my notes up. So for those of you who are here, thank you for joining me today. Before we get into the 3 reasons why you should work with your natal black moon, let me go over a little bit professionally of what I've my credentials. Okay, so I have a bachelor's in art history and criticism. I have a minor in classical studies and ancient cultures, spanning from cradle of life up to the postmodern era, but classical world of cultures technically stops around the medieval period. So I actually do have the medieval period under my belt as well. Now, I have studied cradle of life, Sumeria, ancient Egypt, Celtic, Welsh, Anglo-Saxon, Germanic tribes, the Norsemen as well, Asia Minor, areas of what used to be ancient Persia, because the Persian Empire was pretty big, Silk Road, all those kind of cultures. So just to kind of, and that's not even including the Inca, the Aztec, as well as the Maya, because my university specialized in Latin American studies. And I also have indigenous tribes of the US variously under my belt, as well as tribes in the Texas Central area and the Gulf Coast area. So there's a lot to uncover there. And that's on you. Oh, I forgot to mention Ireland and Gaul too. So there you go. I always forget to mention those two. I'm so sorry to those 2 countries. I really do. Y'all are a part of my heritage, and I always feel so bad. But at one point, Gaul, which is modern day France, Gaul was actually a part of the Roman Empire, and then they rebelled. And then I'm like, oh yeah, so they were like on their own after they rebelled. They had a siege. It was a big deal. You should look it up. It's before Constantine took over. So oh, see, and then Spirit is like, okay, enough of the history talk. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so let's get to the bread and butter of why we're really here. Also, just letting you guys know, there is going to be a free downloadable PDF down in the description box below. It is for dreams and whatnot. So if you haven't noticed in my previous videos, there's a bit of a theme here. As I said with the last video of how to work with your natal not your natal black moon, your natal Neptune. If you have not check that video out, please check it out. Check it out because I feel like it's important, because I also stated in that video, as I'm stating now, if you haven't noticed, I've had a bit of a theme going in these videos. And the main purpose of this theme was I wanted to touch on more and more of the subconscious. Sorry. And I wanted to touch on ways to connect with that, like easy ways, fun ways, 3, with deities and all that. But astrology wise, I get clients asking me all the time about these questions, but they don't understand how these things relate to their natal chart. So I decided, what better way than to alleviate pressure on me as a reader than to just kind of help people out with this, since these are common questions that it can get in the way of an actual reading and providing information. So I decided to touch on the natal black moon because, as I spoke on the natal Neptune is your subconscious. It's about getting to know your subconscious. Your natal black moon is very different than your natal Neptune. Your natal black moon is about getting down to if you are in a process of going through your dark night of the soul, if you are going through your process of shadow work, if you are having to reintegrate your shadow work, if you are having to learn various things about shadow work or your shadow side or your ego, especially ego. If you are having to deal with a narcissist who pushes your shadow side and makes you want to be the big bad wolf, your natal black moon is a way to understand how to work through these problems, because people, especially like people who are narcissistic, people who are abusers, hold on, if you can see my hand, people who are abusers, people who are bullies, people who are just straight up a-holes. Let's be honest, sometimes humanity isn't high vibrational. They can sometimes act like asshats. And especially when you're in a spiritual awakening and you're trying to be this high vibrational being, and all you have are these low vibrational people constantly coming after you, like in the Five of Wands card, where it's like one guy against five people. Okay. The reason I'm bringing this up is because those people trigger our ego. Our ego is not always bad. Now, ego in different spiritual phases sometimes is considered the big bad wolf of us, of what we are as a human being. I've come to learn when working with my black moon that that's not necessarily true. Yes, it can become the big bad wolf if we don't have it on a leash. Yes, that is true. But the ego is there to serve and protect you when you are in fight or flight mode. So, a great way, an example of this is, let's say you have a bully who's been bullying you for like 7 years. And finally, you know what? You've had it with their shiitake. That's what I like to say in place of shit. You've had it with their shiitake. And finally, you let your big bad wolf out, and all of a sudden, that bully is all bark and no bite. Yeah, that's why your ego is there. It's there to protect you. So, when you're beginning to go through your shadow, you have to learn, especially if you're learning more about your ego and you're trying to rein it in, and kind of like, the strength card in the tarot, it's about taming ego, and it's about learning to pull from inner strength, but not from your shadow until it is absolutely necessary. That is where your inner strength comes from. Okay. But when you are past the limit of inner strength and your ego's got to pop out, then it's time for the lone wolf to pop out, man. And I feel like nobody understands that better than me, because I'm a Scorpio living in a world. The challenge with someone like me with a stellium in Scorpio is you can't be a lower leveled Scorpio. You can, but it's going to cause you problems all the time. So you have to learn how to channel that ego into high vibrational ways, and when to let the big bad wolf Scorpio stinger out when it needs to come out. And so working through your shadow side and working through your inner shadow work is how we achieve that and how that becomes possible for us to have healthy lives. The next thing about your natal black moon is you're going to want to learn placement. Where is your natal black moon lie? Now, your natal black moon is a point where the moon's shadow touches on the moon. That sign is your natal black moon. So let's say, for example, you have a natal black moon in Aries, but your natal moon is in Aries, but your natal black moon is, let's say it's in Sagittarius. Okay. Ooh, that's an intense natal black moon, because you want to act on everything, but your natal black moon is like, well, wait a second, if I act on this, it's not so wise. You know what I mean? And then you kind of like get in your head about it, but then you're like, no, because divinely, this is, you almost have like this battle of divine justice within yourself of if something is actually like what it is meant to be. And then you're like, nope, I'm going for it. I'm going to act on it because I feel that wisdom to do so. And so it's almost like an impulse. And that's kind of how the natal black moon will act in your shadow if you do not have it reined in. It almost acts on impulse because, again, it's your ego trying to protect itself. Now, when you're more high vibrational and highly aware spiritually, you kind of understand that you don't always need that protection. like your ego thinks it does, because you have worked through various triggers and traumas. But sometimes there are times where your natal black moon gets triggered, and that's just it. Okay. And this is speaking from experience, where I have had like 7 years of dealing with my natal black moon and being like, I could just do this, but if I do this, it's the easy way out. If I act on my impulse of my natal black moon, it's the easy way out. And that's not me. That is an impulse, but I can control it. So it's like learning how to tone it down a little bit, and learning your placement of your natal black moon helps you rein that shadow side in a little bit more, so you can be a little bit more at peace with yourself and calm. Now, the third reason you want to work with your natal black moon is it's all about the divine feminine in its wild, uncontainable side. A lot of people talk about the divine feminine, but they also don't talk about the divine feminine wild within, which is what the patriarchy is always trying to control. And I'm just like, perpetually, like, do you know like how silly that is? You can never contain something that is essentially wild. Like, you can't, especially that part of the divine feminine, because usually sometimes people confuse divine feminine rage with the wild. And the truth is they're two different aspects. They're not the same. They can become one, though, if the shadow side is completely triggered. I will say this. Oh, they can be, but not always. And so this is where it's like, if you're learning more about the divine feminine, you're learning more about your moon sign, you're learning more about your shadow, this is an excellent way to guide yourself and to say, okay, emotionally, my moon sign is Aries. I want to act on this. I want to act on it because I feel that passion and I feel like this is healthy for me. But my natal black moon in Sagittarius is trying to be like, well, where's the wisdom in that? you know? So again, it's like that perpetual, I want to act on this, but where's the wisdom in that? How do I gain higher perspective from this? And honestly, I would say like, then that natal black moon in Sagittarius could literally actually run wild in of itself, because Sagittarius in an unkept fire sign form is starting like, I'm laughing because I know many Sagittarians. It's like very much like Jim Morrison from The Doors. If you don't know that reference, like Google Val Kilmer in The Doors and like how Jim Morrison would act. He would act literally sometimes like just insane. But it's like to prove a point. And that's where that black moon is like, okay, it's not actually in control, and it's causing these egoic impulses to go out of control. And so you have to learn how to work with it in a way that is more healthy, especially so that way you're not acting like that. Like one time I think in the Doors movie, he like put himself out a window and just hung out there, and his girlfriend was like, no, like, see, not healthy. Okay, if his black moon had been more enlightened. Now, he was a Sagittarius sun, but this is just the example of what I could see a Sagittarian black moon doing. It could do something like that, or it could be like, oh, it could be like when people, how when they drive fast and then they're like, hey, do you trust me? It's like things like that. Hey, and then they'll like break. Oh, nothing irritates me more than games like that, because they're just not safe. Like, they're just not safe. If you want to have a trust exercise, then let's do a trust fall. You see what I'm saying? Like, because that isn't a safe environment. Or like, I don't know, go, bungee jump or something like that. If you're trying to face your fears, great. But if you're trying to make the other person face their fears about you, that's not okay, especially if they're not even open to that. That's where that black moon can cause problems. So that's why I say, if you want to work with your black moon and you really want to get to know that shadow aspect of yourself without doing things like that, then you need to start working more in depth on that. Now, I am offering coaching, 30% off a life coaching session. So if you want to work on your natal black moon, we can definitely do that work down in the description box below. Sign up for my waitlist and we can go forward with that. I offer tarot and oracle card readings down in the description box below. And also, let me see. I do have my course, my 5 tools to use when working with the goddess Venus, down in the description box below. It is currently 30% off. I also have that's the timer for just that. Then there's the bonus content and the dream course as well. So I have the prerequisite course, which you have to take, and then the dream course, which I feel like once you go through that and then you do this black moon work, you'll be able to kind of take things fully around. So other than that, this is Luna signing off. I cannot wait to see you guys again, where we're going to take a break from the subconscious for a bit, and we're going to go into the Fey realm. Because once you start working with the dream world, you can then learn more about the astral world and astral, okay, the ethers, and all of these other realms where the Fey technically work in. And perfect for, the fairy season. Fairy seasons come up in spring to summer, but the Fae are pretty much year-round beings, but their height is always spring and summer. So I thought it'd be perfect for, as we go into St. Patrick's Day, we're going to learn more about the Fae and talk about them. In fact, they're actually a part of my heritage. I'm actually part Celtic and Irish, and my mother is also part Welsh. So to me, it's like, it's really special. So I will see you guys when we start getting into the Fae and the astral realm. I will see you soon. Bye, my loves.